What's up everyone, and welcome back to another What If video. It might be a little late, but for my 25k sub special, I put this as one of the options for a scenario. Personally, this is my favorite one out of the options I put, because it seems really interesting and could lead to a potentially fun scenario. With this storyline, we'll be seeing what might have happened if Babidi tried to revive Boo a couple years early and showed up during the Cell Saga instead. Let's get into it. As for the timing, we're going to start off right before the Cell games begin. Cell just achieved perfection and announced the games, and the 10 days before the Cell games is where we're at right now. Goku and Gohan have finished their training and are now relaxing, while everyone else is just preparing for battle. Let's switch the perspective here, over to Cell. Cell is patiently awaiting at his arena, eager to see if there's any contenders and looking forward to a good fight. A few militaries have shown up here and there, but nothing amusing yet. He's just looking forward to fighting Goku for now. During this time, he notices what appears to be another challenger. A large pink man wearing blue steps up to the arena and introduces himself as Deborah. Deborah is here, under Babidi's control obviously, and is looking to fight Cell to gather energy to revive Boo. This is the perfect opportunity, no pun intended, since Cell, a powerful individual, is just standing there waiting for someone to fight. Cell will be an excellent source of energy. Without hesitation, Cell ends up accepting the fight, and the two begin. So in the Boo saga, it's stated that Deborah is around as powerful as Cell, but many people debate what is meant by that. Is he equivalent to regular perfect Cell or super perfect Cell? Well, for this scenario, and due to what I personally believe, I'm going to assume that he's around as powerful as regular perfect Cell. Deborah was fighting very closely with Gohan, and Gohan during that fight was confirmed to be weaker and rustier than the max power Gohan from the Cell games. If he couldn't take down a weaker version of Gohan, I think it's safe to assume that he wouldn't be as powerful as super perfect Cell. There's also a whole debate about whether or not Gohan fought Deborah in Super Saiyan 2 or just regular Super Saiyan, but that's a topic for a whole other video. And regardless of which form he used, I don't think it would really change the fact that Deborah is most likely weaker than Super Perfect Cell, and is most likely equal to the one that we're about to see him fight. Plus, Cell has regeneration, so he's got an advantage here. Okay, enough power scaling. Cell is having fun with this fight, seeing how powerful this Deborah guy is. Deborah is getting annoyed, seeing that Cell is able to keep up easily with him and is also winning. Cell stops the fight and decides to blow up the arena, and instead fights without the tournament rules. This will be to the death. There's no fun being restricted by the tournament rules. The two continue fighting, and this just gives more energy. Deborah is trying to draw the fight out, while Cell is trying to win and end it quick. With it now being a fight to the death, Cell tries to go in for the kill. Deborah is angered by this and now tries to kill Cell on his own. Deborah is getting tired out, and unlike Cell, he can't regenerate, and while Cell's tiring out a bit, he keeps healing his injuries. The King of the Demon Realm thinks that they have more than enough energy by now, so he spits at Cell and begins to turn him into stone. Deborah takes its leave, as Cell begins to turn into a statue. Before he can fully turn into stone, Cell launches one last attack at Deborah. If he's going down, he's gonna take this guy with him. A Destructo Disc hits Deborah from behind, as Cell is completely turned into stone. This gravely injures Deborah, basically slicing him in half, much to the shock of Babidi, who's been watching from a distance. The two of them are seemingly both defeated, with the match ending in a draw. Until Cell turns back to normal because of Deborah's defeat. Because he launched a Destructo Disc and killed Deborah, that reverses the effect. Babidi makes his escape to the ship, with Cell weakened and trying to recollect himself, as he's trying to figure out what just happened. He notices Babidi escaping, but doesn't chase him, as he has no need. He isn't the only one who's confused though. Seemingly, two more contenders show up, and Cell is excited to see them. He welcomes the two of them to fight, but they're not here for that. Seeing Deborah's corpse right there, they ask Cell if he knows anything about Deborah's plans or Babidi. They didn't see anything, but they sense a huge spike in power here, and they see a corpse laying near Cell, meaning that whatever just happened might have just given Babidi some huge energy. The two reveal themselves to be Shin and Kibito, and that they're Kais. Cell has no idea what they're talking about and doesn't really care. But he boasts about killing that Deborah guy and mentions that he saw some little cockroach man flying off in the opposite direction. Shin and Kibito abruptly leave, with Cell a little disappointed that they aren't here to fight. He wonders who those two really were and what they're up to. Maybe he can pursue them and try to do some surveillance. While flying, Shin and Kibito run into two other people, Vegeta and Trunks. They sensed the spike in power and wanted to see what was going on. If someone was actually fighting Cell and was that close to defeating him, maybe they should check out what's happening. Goku and Gohan wanted to rest, and if something was wrong, they'd teleport over to Vegeta and help. Shin and Kibito explain what just happened, and that they shouldn't worry about Cell since they have much bigger problems and need the help of Vegeta and Trunks. The two are kinda surprised that Cell isn't their biggest issue right now, and they tag along, and Cell gets pretty curious. He's been following close behind and suppressing his ki, and notices that they seem like they're in a rush to stop whatever's about to happen. Listening in and hearing about Boo, and from what little the Kai's told him, his interest is piqued. Maybe it'll be interesting to check it out himself. This could lead to a new powerful opponent. Cell catches up to them and tells them that he's interested in joining to see what this supposedly strong foe is capable of. Unsurprisingly, no one wants Cell to tag along, but Cell assures him that he's only here because of the potential threat that's interfering with his Cell games. That Deborah guy did attack him, and he doesn't take that lightly. He won't form an alliance with these guys, but he just wants to observe, as well as kill anyone that's involved with Deborah. This is obviously very suspicious because Cell was the one to set up the tournament, and he should be accepting if someone tries to fight him, so they really wouldn't expect him to be mad about someone attacking him. But they can't really do anything about Cell, so they just ignore him for now and pursue this target. Eventually, they arrive at the ship. Paying close attention and sensing if something ever changed, Goku and Gohan sense that two new powers, along with Cell, have joined Vegeta and Trunks, and they're not fighting, they're just around the same area. So the two of them teleport in with the rest of the Z fighters. Even if it interferes with their rest, it's a good idea that they check it out. They're a bit intimidated to see Cell there, but Goku isn't too concerned as he still feels confident that they could defeat him if necessary, and Shin and Kibito are the more concerning ones. But that concern goes away. In his ship, Babidi is a little panicked. The fight with Cell only got less than half the power that they needed, and now Deborah is dead. He still has Pui Pui and Yakan on the ship though, but who knows how well that will work. Everyone present enters the ship, being greeted by Pui Pui. Vegeta disposes of him pretty easily. He exerts a little more power to do so, but Pui Pui's weak enough for him to kill. Yakan's also an easy one to take care of. On his floor, instead of Goku just using light to kill him, Cell decides to step in by himself and just kill him using brute force, for fun. Now, Babidi is really concerned. He's nowhere close to having enough energy, so he's worried that all this would have been for nothing. The Z-Fighters, Kais, and Cell are now coming towards him and this might be the end. His plan failed and he's going to die. But then he realizes, he doesn't need Deborah. He's safe right now, so he can possess someone who's already within range. And an easy target is right there, Cell. Unlike Vegeta, Cell's already evil and will be pretty simple to possess. This is perfect. Again, no pun intended. Actually, no, that time it was a pun. In the ship, Cell begins to break down. He can feel his mind being taken over and is filled with rage that someone is trying to control him. He tries to resist it as much as possible, but it's too easy for Babidi to manipulate him. He finally calms down and is revealed to be under Babidi's control, seeing the M on his forehead, and we now have Majin Cell. He does get a boost in power, probably around where he was a super perfect Cell. Babidi then teleports everyone back to the Cell Games arena. This brainwashed Cell is now amused. This should make for an interesting battle. He doesn't even care about a 1v1 anymore. He will just fight everyone. Shin and Kibito beg them not to fight him now, since it'll give energy to Babidi. Cell isn't playing around anymore though. He begins by attacking Goku, who has trouble fighting the superpowered version of Cell. Gohan and Shin join in to help, with Trunks and Vegeta knowing that Cell is way out of their league now. They're losing against Cell, and Babidi keeps gathering energy from the fight. Goku, Gohan, and Shin are in a tough spot, but then Goku remembers something. In the time chamber, that power that Gohan briefly showed off, maybe that will be enough. He needs to get Gohan to tap into it somehow. He begins encouraging Gohan to use more power, knowing that he has more. Gohan knows he has it but isn't able to use it, and Goku keeps pushing. If he doesn't use it, Cell will kill him and destroy the Earth. Interested by this, Cell then knocks Goku and Shin out of the way and is fighting Gohan one-on-one. He can't keep up, and gets pushed back as Cell is mercilessly beating him. He urges Gohan to use more power, due to the fact that he knows Gohan's holding back, and he wants a good fight, but also because of Babidi's influence makes him want this. The fight continues like how Gohan originally fought with Cell, except Cell is much more brutal this time. He spawns the Cell Jr. still, and he keeps beating Gohan and anyone else who attacks. Seeing the brutal attack from the Cell Juniors and being pushed into a corner, Gohan gets enraged. He tries to fight back, but it does nothing to Cell. He's powering up, but he's not to where he should be. He's not holding back anymore. Cell is about to land a finishing blow on Gohan, when Goku teleports in and catches Cell off guard with a gut punch. But Cell easily shrugs this off and takes no damage, and he begins to fight Goku one-on-one. And by fight Goku, I mean he's beating Goku just like he did with Gohan, and Gohan can only watch the fight. He's getting angrier and angrier and is reaching the tipping point. He's frustrated that his full power isn't enough yet, and he's getting angrier by seeing that Cell is brutally attacking his friends and trying to kill his dad, and he can't handle it. Gohan feels that Goku had to bail him out because he was letting everyone down by not powering up to that new form that he discovered. If he used that, then Cell would have been gone by now, but he can't tap into it. Cell's about to finish off Goku, but right when he's about to launch a beam, an explosion of power happens nearby. Cell looks over to see Gohan's now powered up, at Super Saiyan 2. Goku is surprised to see that Gohan actually did it, and now Gohan can actually battle Cell and have a chance. He shouts to Gohan not to hold back. Seeing the brutality of the brainwashed android, Gohan knows he can't mess around. After disposing of the Cell Juniors, he then goes to Cell. The two begin to duel, and Gohan is now showing off his true power. He's pretty advantaged, but not sure if he can kill him easily. But he gets a break. He delivers a powerful flurry of punches to Cell's stomach, and this causes him to throw up Android 18. Surprised to see this, Gohan tries it again, now against a much weaker, semi-perfect Cell, and it works. He throws up Android 17 this time. Cell is completely enraged, and lunges towards Gohan to kill him. Since Cell is imperfect now, even with the Majin boost, he's pretty much nothing. Gohan feels no need to hold back, and he launches a full power blast that kills Cell. Having finally won, the group rests and thinks that they're fine for now. Kibito and Shin remain safe, and Kibito goes around healing everyone else who got injured. He stayed back because he was more focused on being a support. It may seem good, but they're not completely safe yet. Back at the ship, Babidi is ecstatic. Taking control of Cell was a great idea, since he now has more than enough energy to break the seal and revive Boo. Even if Cell's dead, he doesn't need him anymore. He succeeded and Boo's been revived. With Boo now awoken, the group is speechless after sensing the power that's coming off of him. He's way stronger than they could have ever expected. Compared to Boo, Cell was nothing, even as a Majin. Thankfully, Kibito has already healed everyone, but that doesn't really matter since Boo's power is too vast for them to even handle at the moment. The Majin hadn't found them yet, but he will come eventually. Shin and Kibito realize that Boo is a much bigger threat than they could have ever imagined. Not knowing what to do, Shin sternly orders everyone to gather around him. No one knows what he's up to, but they gather around him as Shin uses the Kai Kai to get out of there, and everyone goes to the sacred world of Kais. It takes everyone a bit of time before they realize what Shin just did, but he ends up explaining where they are and what just happened. They're safe here for now, unless Boo ends up coming this way, which would take a while. This is their only option as of now. The sacred world of Kais acts both as a place for them to hide out and remain safe, and as a place for them to train in the meantime. Not wanting to waste any time, Shin tells everyone to begin training as hard as they can, trying to see if he can at least boost everyone up alongside Kibito's healing. Gohan is a lot stronger now that he has Super Saiyan 2, alongside that Zenkai he got from Kibito's healing after fighting with Cell. However, Goku also got a major Zenkai. If you remember from the last part, he was very close to death thanks to Cell's beatdown, so now he's the second strongest in the group right behind Gohan, just like before. Vegeta and Trunks also got some Zenkais, but they weren't as dramatic as Goku and Gohan, since they only fought the Cell Juniors. Shin pulls Gohan aside and he has a different task for him. He wants to see if Gohan is actually powerful enough to pull out the Z-Sword and train with it. Since Gohan is the strongest here, Shin is going to give him the hardest training, which will probably have the most benefit. With everyone else sparring with each other and being healed by Kibito, Gohan begins pulling the Z-Sword out of the ground. Keep in mind, Boo Saga Gohan was actually confirmed to be weaker than Cell Saga Gohan. Not only that, but Gohan got a bigger Zenkai here from fighting Cell. So for this scenario, pulling the Z-Sword out of the ground goes pretty much the same as it did in the Boo Saga, if not a bit easier. Though it took a lot of struggle, Gohan is able to accomplish it and pull the Z-Sword out of the ground, and he begins training with the sword itself, getting stronger and stronger as he does so. Shin is pleased with everyone's progress, as everyone else has gotten stronger too, especially the Saiyans. Gohan gets better and better with the sword, and then Goku jumps in and suggests that they do a stress test of the sword, with Shin thinking it's a good idea. He begins creating blocks of Kachin for Gohan to use the sword against, as well as for some people to do weight training with. Goku takes one and decides to fling it towards Gohan, seeing if he could destroy it by hitting it with the sword. And sure enough, panic ensues as the Z-Sword shatters. Everyone present is now terrified of the repercussions. While Shin, Gohan, and Goku are panicking, the other fighters notice something has just appeared out of the sword. Wait, that's not a thing. It's a person, an old man. Like normal, Elder Kai has been released due to the breaking of the Z-Sword. Shin and Kibito are confused and surprised to see this other Kai here, and they end up finding out who he is and what happened to him. A while ago, he was sealed in that sword by a certain purple cat, but he leaves out the details and doesn't say who specifically did it. They find out that he's a Kai from generations ago, and he has some tricks that he might be able to use to help everyone. Knowing that Boo has been released, Elder Kai offers to do a ritual in order to increase the power of one of the fighters present, a ritual meant to unlock potential, although it will take a while. Immediately, Shin suggests that he does it for Gohan, without Gohan having any input for himself, but then he realizes that it might be useful, so he agrees. Boo could be heading to the planet right now for all they know, and this would be better than nothing, and possibly more effective than the training they're doing right now. Every other fighter goes back to training, and are confused as to why Gohan is now just sitting down as that old man dances around him. It's kinda weird, but they don't question it. I mean, the guy kinda is a god after all, and Shin says it's okay. Well, he thinks it's okay. Back on Earth, Babidi and Boo have been searching for all those strong fighters from before, but they can't find them. He figures that Cell is now dead and they killed him, but he doesn't know what happened to the actual fighters themselves. Maybe he can lure them out by having Boo cause some mayhem. Boo's rampage begins on Earth, while everyone is with the Kais, and he slowly begins killing off the people on Earth. Back on the world of the Kais, Piccolo is suddenly feeling distressed. He's been in touch with Dende, who keeps telling Piccolo what's been happening. Shin and Kibito are being informed as well. Keep in mind, this is the Cell Saga, and at this point, Dende has only been the Guardian of Earth for about a few days or so this is a terrible beginning for his job. He's able to collect himself though. It's not like he hasn't been through the destruction like this before. Piccolo informs everyone what's happening, and it's both good and bad. It's good because it means Boo doesn't know where they are, and he won't be coming for them anytime soon. However, it's obviously a bad thing because everyone on Earth is dying now, and for all they know, Dende could be next, which means no Dragon Balls. They're impatient to get back, but they have to wait for this ritual to be over, since they aren't strong enough to go by themselves. They need about one more day for the ritual to be complete. Vegeta is stubborn and demands to go back to Earth right now, even if Gohan can't yet. He, Goku, and Trunks have been trying to unlock Super Saiyan 2, but obviously they're not going to be able to do it over the course of a few days. They have gotten a lot stronger from training though, but they don't have Super Saiyan 2 just yet. They're kind of a long way from it. Deciding it might be a good idea as well, Goku decides to take Vegeta and Trunks back to Earth a few hours before the ritual is done. Even if they can't fight Boo, they can at least try to save their friends before Boo gets to them. Goku brings everyone but Piccolo and Krillin along with him, so Piccolo can stay in contact with Dende and relay it to everyone, while Krillin decides to stay so he can train some more with Piccolo before heading back, and he doesn't really want to go face Boo right now. But on the bright side, it means Piccolo won't just be standing there waiting, he could actually get some training in. Yamcha also goes to Earth reluctantly, although he would rather stay back with Krillin. But as for everyone else, there's no protest, and they go willingly. The group heads back and goes to find everyone they know and brings them to the lookout for safety, all while Elder Kai is finishing up the ritual. A few hours pass, and now the group ends up encountering Boo away from the lookout, just to hold him off for a bit. They get beat up, but with their combined effort, they're partially able to hold their own, but only barely. They end up killing Babidi at least, and find out that Boo can regenerate and turn people into candy, so they keep their distance for now. He's pretty naive too, so that works in their favor. This strategy ends up working for a bit, but since they can't hurt Boo enough to stop the regeneration, they aren't going to do much except delay his destruction. As the fight gets more and more intense, suddenly, they're saved as Krillin jumps in front of them and performs a solar flare towards Boo, while Piccolo tells everyone to shield their eyes. While Boo is blinded, Piccolo and Krillin, along with Kibito, head a bit farther away so they can all be healed. Since they're back, that means Shin and Gohan are as well, and they see the two of them in front of Boo after getting healed. Shin tells everyone good luck, saying he'll watch the fight from his planet. He retreats with Kibito back to his world, while the group now gets ready to fight again. Everyone in this fight is a lot stronger than they were a few days prior, especially the Saiyans. Goku is the strongest of the other three Saiyans. His Zenkais in training put him at a level now where he could easily face Majin Cell, someone who was leagues beyond him before. That one huge Zenkai he got from nearly dying against Cell is the biggest contributor to this, and why he's ahead of everyone else. As for Vegeta and Trunks, they're not too far behind. Had they been at this level of power a few days prior, the fight with Majin Cell would have been much easier, and together they could have taken him out easily. And besides Majin Cell, when we're talking about regular Cell, he wouldn't even have been a threat to them. The humans in Piccolo are also stronger, but without the advantage of having Zenkais like Saiyans, their boost isn't as extreme. They only got some basic training in. Oddly though, all the Saiyans notice that Gohan seems to be in his base form rather than Super Saiyan, yet they can sense his power and demeanor are entirely different. It's weird because that Super Saiyan 2 form he had earlier was so strong, but now he's not even using it and he's above that. Unbeknownst to them, Gohan is in his ultimate form right now. And I'm gonna say something that sounds crazy at first, but it makes sense once you think about it. Remember what I said about how Cell Saga Gohan was actually stronger than Buu Saga Gohan? Well, if you look at it like that, and considering it's the same person getting the same power boost in training, Ultimate Gohan in this scenario is actually as strong as Ultimate Gohan was in canon during the Buu Saga. It's the exact same character getting the exact same ritual, and his power before doing so was on par with or above what it was in the Buu Saga before he got the power up. Ultimate also works different from other forms. It's supposed to draw out his latent potential. And if you look at what happened to Cell Saga Gohan and Buu Saga Gohan, they both had very similar experiences. They started around a similar power, then got badly injured by an enemy, healed, then trained with the Z-Sword, and finally both got the ritual from Elder Kai. And since it's the same character, it's not crazy to assume that the potential boost here is the same as it is later on. It may seem like a large boost in power, and it really is, but it's no different than the size of the boost he got in the Buu Saga. It's essentially the same hero as it was there, but when you compare the enemies and the actual arcs themselves, it does seem like a lot bigger of a boost, even though it really isn't. With everyone now at peak condition and ready to fight, Buu's vision has finally cleared from the solar flare, and everyone now jumps back in to fight him. The final match against Buu begins, and our heroes are now extremely advantaged. Think about it. This is Fat Buu, the original one, versus a whole group of Z fighters and Ultimate Gohan, who's pretty much at the same power he was in the Buu Saga. So this will definitely turn out interesting. So last episode was kinda crazy, but if you remember, yeah, Gohan has his ultimate form now much earlier in the story. And the crazy thing is, he's actually pretty much on par with Ultimate Gohan where he was in the Buu Saga in the original story. In hindsight, this makes him kinda OP, but also, Gohan here at this point in the story was actually confirmed to be stronger than the teenage Gohan from when he fought Deborah, for example, so it's not too unreasonable to assume the ritual will grant him the same amount of power and get him to the same level. And I don't want to lowball the boost he gets either. I'll be honest, I didn't really want to do another what if scenario where Gohan becomes insanely strong, but I feel it actually makes sense here this time, and you'll see later in this part that it won't be as big of a deal as it is now. It'll actually bottom out later on and won't be as OP. Anyways, the fight actually begins. Fat Buu isn't that smart of a fighter, and from what we've seen of him, he doesn't even try to absorb people. He does, however, love turning people into candy, and the Z fighters know this. Being wary of that ability, the Z fighters attempt to avoid it, but the battle actually goes way easier than they expected. Goku, Vegeta, and Gohan basically do all the work, until they realize that Ultimate Gohan is actually able to handle this on his own. Gohan is aware of his power, and he doesn't want to let it get to his head with him getting too cocky. This Buu guy is threatening, and Gohan isn't going to go complete edgelord mode against him like he did with Cell, so he takes a more level-headed approach and begins to take on Buu alone. Considering this is Ultimate Gohan against a weaker Buu, Fat Buu, yeah, it's pretty one-sided. Knowing how annoying regeneration is after his fight with Cell, Gohan pretty much demolishes Buu in this fight, and he knows this time he needs to use his full power in order to actually destroy Buu completely. And like I said, Fat Buu isn't really particularly the smartest foe. He can't strategize or work around Gohan's tactics, and ends pretty poorly for him. Gohan beats Buu this time around and doesn't lose, and ends up killing the Majin with Buu having no chance of regenerating at all. He didn't even need to pull what Majin Vegeta did and blow himself up. One full power blast was more than enough to actually destroy Buu, and actually disintegrate all of his cells. Wow, this plan actually worked. Turns out training with Shin and the Z-Sword was a great idea, because if they didn't do that, none of this would have happened the way it did. Shin returns with Kibito and Elder Kai to thank everyone and make sure everything is 100% okay, and thankfully, it is. Buu is gone and the Earth is now safe. Well, except for the fact that the majority of people are dead, but that's not really a big issue though. Using the Dragon Balls will create a simple fix for this, and all will be fine. So Buu showing up in the Cell Saga actually turned out surprisingly well, despite it sounding disastrous in the beginning. Cell was still defeated on his own because he was dumb enough to actually go out and find Buu, which led him to becoming Majin Cell, becoming a slave to Babidi, and then dying. So it kinda sucks for him, just like it did for Bobby and the rest of his crew. The Z-Fighters were able to stop Buu from destroying everything, and the universe is no longer in danger. Well, at least for now. Luckily for everyone else, we now enter a rare period of peace. 7 years into the peacetime, things are going pretty well for everyone. Goten of course is born, with Goku actually being around this time, meaning he and Vegeta continue training together. They do end up getting Super Saiyan 2 of course, which is pretty great for them. As for Gohan, well, fighting never was really something Gohan was fond of. Sure, he still trains from time to time and never loses access to Super Saiyan 2 or Ultimate, but he doesn't train excessively like Goku and Vegeta. Still, he does from time to time train, but not a lot since he's more focused on school. Yeah, he still ends up going to school, and as for the Saiyaman saga, nothing really changes in the beginning. Gohan goes to school, becomes the Great Saiyaman, meets Videl, all of that stuff. But there's a good change that happens later on, and that's the World Tournament. This is going to be completely different, and it will actually be a true tournament arc this time, and I'm going to cover it in depth. With the Buu saga basically over already, this is a normal tournament. No Babidi or Buu means that the entrance will actually change. There's no Shin or Kibito entering, and Spopovich and Yamu still enter, but they're obviously not Majins and they're not going to be bad guys. As for the people taking Shin and Kibito's spot, I'm going to do what I usually do here and include Tien and Yamcha. Given that they trained more in the Cell and Buu saga, they're a bit stronger and more motivated to fight this time around, and they've been in tournaments before, so why not join again? They end up joining and getting in obviously, and the tournament begins. I'm going to keep the bracket for everyone the same as it was in the original story, except obviously I'll be replacing Shin and Kibito's spots. First, we have Krillin vs Pintar, which is really nothing special. Krillin wins easily. Next, we have Ma Jr. versus Tien. Tien replaces Shin here, and this battle is actually pretty interesting. Tien puts up a really good fight against Piccolo, but Piccolo does have the edge in terms of power, so Piccolo comes out victorious here. And next, oh god, Videl vs Spopovich. Oh, wait, there's no need for me to worry. Spopovich isn't a maniac here and isn't gonna wail on Videl like he did before, and he actually fights normally with Videl, but Videl does end up beating him. She has better strategy and strength, so she comes out on top. Interesting tournament so far. Next, the Great Saiyaman vs Yamcha, with Yamcha replacing Kibito. Sorry Yamcha, but it's pretty obvious that Gohan wins this one. Kinda unfair if you ask me. Oh yeah, and Gohan is never revealed to be the Great Saiyaman, at least for now. Next, Mr. Satan vs 18, and Mr. Satan wins with the use of a bribe. Huh, whatever. The next battle is the most interesting one in this part of the tournament, and that is Goku vs Vegeta. This is a long, and I mean a long battle, and is the most spectacular one so far. Having the same training, the two of them are both fairly equal in terms of power. Actually, they're pretty much on par. Had this been the original story, Goku probably would have won here because he had the afterlife training and was probably above Vegeta in terms of power because of that. But here it's completely different. Goku and Vegeta have had the same training for 7 years, and both have maxed out at Super Saiyan 2, with Goku not getting Super Saiyan 3 either, so it's honestly pretty tough to say who the winner is here. To get some more perspective, I did 2 polls on my Twitter and Instagram to see who would actually win, and the results were understandably mixed. But judging by the reasoning and results, I'm gonna say Goku comes out on top. In a battle like this, Goku's experience with tournaments and martial arts, plus his better techniques like instant transmission, give him an advantage against Vegeta. It's very close, but Goku is able to beat Vegeta and win. However, I'll say that he wins with a ring out and not actually a knockout. Next, Goten and Mighty Mask is up against Killa. After stumbling a bit when figuring out the costume, Mighty Mask wins pretty easily. Jewel is up versus Yamu next, and it's really up in the air here since we don't know about either of them too much, but I'm gonna say Yamu wins. Judging by the fact that he was worthy enough to be a Majin servant, he might be stronger than Jewel, but hey, who knows? Jewel might be secretly insanely strong and have like Ultra Instinct or something. I'm obviously joking. Quarterfinals time. Krillin is up against Piccolo, and Piccolo also beats him. It's a good fight though, similar to the one with Tien, but Piccolo pulls ahead pretty easily after a bit. Next is Videl versus the Great Saiyaman, and needless to say, the Great Saiyaman wins, but he fights on par with Videl at the level that she's at, without going Super Saiyan or Ultimate or whatever. He's glad to see that she's made a lot of progress in terms of power and her abilities, and they have a very friendly fight. I mean, it's not like Gohan is gonna go Ultimate and utterly demolish his girlfriend in a fight. He wants it to be kinda fair. Next is Goku versus Mr. Satan, and Goku doesn't accept a bribe here. He wants to actually see what he can do in this tournament. Mr. Satan loses, but is actually able to save some face by making an excuse with the help of Goku, and they fake a whole stunt where Mr. Satan pretends to be sick, and Goku tries to help him out, but yeah, his stomach hurts too much to fight. So yeah, he's not gonna fight here, but Goku ends up advancing ahead. Plus, it's not like Mr. Satan is forfeiting against some schmuck. Goku is a previous champion, so it doesn't look too bad for Mr. Satan, and he's only forfeiting because his stomach hurts, and everyone believes that. Anyways, Mighty Mask fights Yamu next and wins. Time for the semifinals, and it's not particularly too interesting. Well, the first fight is actually pretty cool when I think about it. It's Piccolo versus Gohan. The two are glad to fight each other, being best friends and all, but Gohan is pretty clearly advantaged here. He fights without transforming though, and the two have a good match, and it's fun for the both of them. Both are impressed to see how far the other has come in terms of strength, and it's been a while since they've sparred like this, but Gohan wins. And next, Goku is up against Mighty Mask. This one's pretty funny. Mighty Mask obviously stands no chance against Goku. Goten and Trunks go Super Saiyan and try to fight him, and it's weird for Goku because he sees how odd Mighty Mask can move his body. Goku fires a Kamehameha towards Mighty Mask, and similar to how 18 fought against them, Goten and Trunks panic and they separate. The costume is destroyed, and it's revealed that the two of these kids were actually Mighty Mask, and they fight Goku now, until they're disqualified. It's a shame. Goku kinda wanted to see how strong they were, but it's really no big deal. He could try that later on. Thankfully, the way the bracket was set up in the original story actually creates for an interesting final outcome in this scenario, because now we have a really good matchup in terms of the finals. The Great Saiyaman is up against the former champion, Goku. A battle of father and son, and it should be very intriguing. Wanting to fight on par and enjoy the battle, the two start by limiting themselves to their base forms, and they'll crank it up to Super Saiyan 2 later on if necessary. And if that goes nowhere, Gohan is welcome to use his ultimate form and show Goku his full strength. Much like Vegeta vs Goku, this fight is very close. Gohan and Goku are pretty much equal. Even though Gohan has less training during this time, he was farther ahead of Goku to begin with, and they're now both around even when they're in Super Saiyan 2. But of course, Ultimate is a different story. It's another long fight and the two enjoy it, but Goku isn't really pleased yet. Later on in the fight, he decides he doesn't want Gohan to hold back, and he tells him to use his full power. Gohan obliges and goes Ultimate, which shreds his bandana and destroys his sunglasses and ruins his disguise. Uh-oh, everyone knows it's him now. They're surprised to see that it's actually Gohan, and Gohan and Goku are both equally nervous now that the identity has been revealed, and it makes for a bit of a funny moment as they try and cover up Gohan's face. Ah well, it's kinda pointless now, it doesn't really matter. The only thing that matters is the fight. They get back to the battle, with Goku using his full power in Super Saiyan 2. No Super Saiyan 3 obviously, like I said before, since he didn't have the same experience he did in the afterlife and isn't able to access it here. Gohan is now an Ultimate, and the two clash, but it's clear who's more advantaged here. After a brief exchange of blows, with Gohan getting better hits in than Goku, the two then speed towards each other at full power, full speed. They collide with a huge explosion in the air and a flash of light. After the light clears, the result is revealed. Both have their fists in the other's face, with Gohan only being slightly fazed by it, and Goku is now knocked unconscious. Goku falls to the ground, and now winning with a knockout, Gohan is the victor of the tournament. And obviously, Trunks is the victor for the Kid division. That was a pretty fun tournament. I've never really covered a full tournament arc like this. This was a rare moment of peace and it created for a fun scenario, but of course, this peace won't last forever. In a few more years, the next enemy will arrive, one stronger than anyone could have ever imagined, even more so than Cell, Boo, Goku, Vegeta, or even Gohan. But I'm gonna save that for another part. Over the next few years, a lot of things happen like normal. Goku and Vegeta keep up with their training, while Gohan kinda falters behind a bit, but he does somewhat keep up with it. Overall, everyone is still decently strong, pretty much like they were normally in Battle of Gods. And that's pretty good because now, Beerus is about to come to Earth seeking the Super Saiyan God. In case you were wondering why I held off on this what if for so long, it's because I got to this point in the story when I was writing it, and I realized that there wouldn't be too many changes in Super. There are some minor things here and there that I'd like to cover, but overall a lot of the plot remains the same. But as I was writing it though, I noticed that once we got to the Broly movie and after that, that's when things start having a huge change. So we're going to be going through multiple arcs here, but not covering them greatly in depth because the changes are so minor, and I'll be explaining why. Battle of Gods is the first one, and here we'll see that not too much is going to be changing. Besides Beerus having a better time at the party, due to Boo not being there, eventually he does want to find out about the Super Saiyan God. Like normal, Shenron is summoned, and everyone asks about the ritual. A lot of it's pretty routine, and I don't feel that there's any reason for Goku to not get Super Saiyan God here. The ritual would still be done on him, and overall this whole arc would go pretty much the same as normal, except a few minor differences like Boo not being there. We get to Resurrection F, and it goes relatively the same. Frieza still gets revived, he comes to Earth, Goku and Vegeta are training with Beerus and Whis, and then they come there to save Earth from Frieza. Overall, nothing really changes here either, besides Gohan maybe being slightly stronger, but in Resurrection F I doubt that would change too much. In the Universe 6 tournament, a similar story plays out. One change I do see happening here is that Gohan might join in place of Piccolo. Like I've mentioned, he has been faltering on his training a bit, but in this whole scenario he has had a little bit more motivation to train. I feel like maybe by this point he'd still retain Super Saiyan 2, but I don't know if he'd be able to tap into his ultimate form, because he did have some issues with that in Super. But even with him here, he's taking Piccolo's place, which means he's going to be going up against Frost. If he gets hit by the poison, that pretty much seals the deal. Because like normally, I don't see why Vegeta wouldn't suggest him to drop out here. Vegeta still would want to fight Frost himself, so rather than taking the win, Gohan would just resign, because of Vegeta's request. It does get him to realize a little bit earlier on though that he is faltering in his training, so this could serve as some good motivation for him to get back on track. But besides that, the rest of the Universe 6 tournament doesn't change too much. You seeing a pattern here? Well, at least for the future Trunks arc, there is a bit of a change. Albeit one that's pretty minor. Zamasu and Goku Black fuse, and everyone's utterly surprised at what happened. Sure, Shin and Goasu know what this is, but Goku, Vegeta, and Trunks have never seen Potara fusion before, or fusion in general. This is a completely new concept to them. Once they see fuse Zamasu, Goku suggests that he and Vegeta should fuse. Vegeta declines at first, thinking that it's permanent, but Goasu clarifies that because they're mortals, it's only going to last an hour. Vegeta has a much better first impression about fusion here, and eventually he does agree to fuse with Goku, since it's only going to last for about an hour. Pretty much like normal, Vegito is here, but instead this is his first appearance and when he's actually born. His fight with Zamasu actually goes a little bit longer though, because Vegito doesn't really know where he is in terms of power. He actually starts off fighting a bit in base at first, and he paces himself way better than he did normally against Zamasu in Super. He then cranks it up to Super Saiyan, and he's able to get some hits in on Zamasu, but he's not doing too much. He's amazed by the power of this fusion though, and eventually they turn up the power and go to Super Saiyan Blue. But without realizing that too much power will shorten the fusion, pretty much like normal, Vegito would defuse here. The good thing is though, he got a lot more action with Zamasu, dealing a bit of damage and actually not defusing right away. At least they'll know for future reference that if they use too much power as a fusion, they're gonna defuse, so they'll know to keep pacing themselves next time. But besides that, the Goku Black arc goes pretty similar. Unlike the Universe 6 tournament, Gohan wouldn't really be too present here just because of how much time it would take up. With the tournament it's one thing because he didn't need to be gone for too long, but with this, it's too much of a commitment. He is still a little bit regretful about not helping though. And that brings us to the Tournament of Power. Frankly, it's not really worth going in depth here. There's only a few differences. For one, Boo's not recruited because he's dead, so for the Zen exhibition match it's probably going to end up being Goku, Gohan, and probably Vegeta because he might get help from Whis earlier on. You know, the whole thing with Bulla's birth and all. And that solidifies Vegeta as a contender for the tournament a little bit earlier on than normal. Another change is that there's no Super Saiyan 3 here, but this is a really minor change, because all it really means is that Kale and Caulifla aren't going to be pursuing Super Saiyan 3 because they don't know it exists. And finally, the only other change I could think of is that Gohan would probably be a little bit stronger, but not by a noticeable amount. He could potentially defeat Dispo alone here, and stay in the tournament a little bit longer, and he'd probably be sticking around with Goku and Vegeta. Some change starts to occur here, because Gohan obviously wouldn't be fighting Toppo after being tired out by Dispo. And in terms of Jiren, he probably would help to fight, but like normal, he would get saved by 17 along with Goku and Vegeta. Vegeta would still try and fight Jiren himself, but ultimately get defeated. Seemingly only Goku and Gohan would be left in the ring, and Goku ends up activating Ultra Instinct once again. But Gohan wouldn't really be doing much here, because this fight would purely be between Goku and Jiren. Eventually though, Ultra Instinct does run out, and Jiren proceeds to knock Goku off. However, the one to intervene and catch him is Gohan, who's pretty injured but wants to stand against Jiren himself. Thankfully, he's joined by Frieza and then 17, and they all try and attack Jiren together. This could partially change the outcome of the tournament. If you remember, Frieza and 17 were able to get Jiren on his knees and nearly eliminated him. With some extra muscle there in the form of Gohan, plus with him now not being cocky anymore after his training with Piccolo, he would know to take the opportunity and help finish Jiren quickly. The three of them do end up knocking Jiren out. So Universe 7 wins with 4 people in the ring this time. Goku, Gohan, 17, and Frieza. For the MVP, it's kinda up in the air. I feel it'll be between Goku or 17. It's really debatable who would win the title of MVP, but no matter which of them gets named MVP, the wish would probably still remain the same. For obvious reasons, 17 would go for the same thing, and Goku would probably want to revive all the other universes because of how many strong people he met. And I haven't really covered it, but you might be wondering why the androids are still here, but they still were revived, and Krillin still had his interaction with 18 during the Cell Saga beforehand, and I don't really see any reason for that to change. I mentioned briefly in the last part that she was in the tournament, but I really didn't clarify that she and Krillin were still together, and they are. So they still are in the Tournament of Power as well. One of the biggest changes we see next is in the Broly Saga. After fighting with Super Saiyan Broly, Goku and Vegeta retreat to where Piccolo is. And Gohan's probably going to be there as well, because he'd be keeping tabs on the fight. At first he did want to join, but then eventually, Broly powered up to a state where he's even stronger than Goku and Vegeta, and Gohan realized it would be stupid to go out there himself against Broly. Neither Piccolo or Gohan have Senzu beans, and Goku and Vegeta aren't sure how they'll be able to defeat Broly. Gohan remembers in the tournament that Thing Kale and Caulifla did to fuse, and he mentions how maybe they could try and fuse against Broly. He actually didn't know that Goku and Vegeta have fused before, and they thank him for bringing this up. The only issue is though, Goku isn't actually able to sense Shin's energy, so he can't instant transmission there. The key is too weak to be sensed. Goku could ask Whis, but then he would have to teleport back to the battlefield, and Broly might notice him and attack him, separating him from Whis. In order to help out, Gohan tells Goku that he'll go with him to find Whis, and he'll serve as a distraction. As long as Goku's quick enough, he should be able to hold out well enough, especially since Frieza's fighting Broly as well. He makes extra sure that Gohan's okay doing this, and they get back to the battlefield. Sure enough, Broly notices these two people appearing, and that distracts him from Frieza. Frieza's able to sneak away as Broly goes and attacks Goku, with Gohan jumping in and coaxing Broly to fight him. Goku then departs with Whis heading towards the world of Kais. Gohan knows his attacks won't really do much against Broly, and he focuses mainly on defense and dodging. Oh my god, I accidentally made a dodging joke. As has been happening in this entire scenario, Gohan is still a bit stronger here too. He's not nearly as durable as Frieza is against Broly, but he's strong enough to be on par with Goku or Vegeta in their Super Saiyan Blue form. So he could hold his own if he focuses basically only on defense. He even tries to get a few attacks in, but notices that they don't do anything to Broly at all. And eventually, he notices Frieza on the battlefield, who's now transformed into his golden form. The two of them briefly argue, but then they're pitted against Broly together. Gohan doesn't really want to fight alongside Frieza here because this is his fault, but since they're both being attacked by Broly, they fight together like they once did in the Tournament of Power, although this time they're not really on the same side. Eventually on the battlefield though, a new person arrives. Goku has finally arrived back from the Sacred World of Kais, and he fused with Vegeta, and now Vegeto's on the battlefield. Gohan's amazed with how strong this fusion is, and Frieza's confused at first, but then he realizes what they did. Just like that Kefla girl in the Tournament of Power, they fused into one person. Vegito thanks Gohan and tells Frieza that he'll deal with him later, and he begins fighting Broly. After what happened against Zamasu, Vegito knows all too well that he needs to pace himself here, or else the fusion will run out. So he starts off in base, and like Gogeta, he eventually moves up to Super Saiyan. And he's still pretty much outclassing Broly, but Broly's catching up. Instead of going to Blue right away, Vegito tries going into God, wanting to preserve his power as much as possible, and Super Saiyan God probably would be enough to take on Broly. Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta completely outclassed him, and was heavily overkill, so I'm sure Super Saiyan God here would be more than enough as well. God Vegito is facing Broly, and not wanting to waste time, he tries to make it quick. He's very wary about his fusion running out. Plus, he doesn't think that Broly will snap out of it, because he's not showing any signs of stopping. Vegito decides he has to stop messing around, and decides to actually finish the job. He doesn't necessarily want to kill Broly, but he doesn't see any other option. He doesn't realize that Broly would eventually snap out of it, but of course he's not going to take that risk. He goes all the way up to Blue, and powers up a final Kamehameha. The beam is launched towards Broly, and it kills him. This fight went so much quicker, and Chilai and Lemma weren't quick enough to get the Dragon Balls. After seeing how easily Vegito killed Broly, Frieza decides to try and retreat, and he goes back to his ship. And there, he actually catches Chilai and Lemma stealing the Dragon Balls. This ending's kinda depressing because Broly would die, and potentially Chilai and Lemma would get executed by Frieza for trying to steal the Dragon Balls. And thus, the Broly saga ends, and next we get into Moro. But wait, why am I covering Moro right now? The arc isn't even finished. You'll see why I'm covering it because I think I know how this would turn out. And it's not pretty. The Galactic Patrol would arrive on Earth asking for Goku and Vegeta's help. With no Buu there, there's no way they can get the Kai inside of Buu to help, so Goku and Vegeta are their next best option. Beerus brings them all to Namek. And overall, their first encounter with Moro goes pretty much the same. Goku and Vegeta get beat up, and then eventually need to be healed, and by the time they regain consciousness, Moro would already be close to his goal. The big change here occurs when they face Moro a second time. With no Buu or Grand Supreme Kai there to help, they would be alone facing Moro alongside Beerus. Beerus obviously wouldn't be able to show his true power because otherwise he'd be breaking the code of the Angels, but he does try to help Goku and Vegeta as much as he can. Without the Grand Supreme Kai to hold off Moro, it eventually results in a great loss. Moro gets his wish, and he's able to get the win, even going so far as to kill Goku and Vegeta. As all the prisoners are released, Beerus and the remains of the Galactic Patrol retreat. Goku and Vegeta are dead, and Namek is utterly destroyed. Beerus and Whis were watching in prior, and Beerus feels like he's an idiot for not intervening before. But now he realizes his mistake and goes to help. Namek's pretty much all drained of his energy, with most of the Namekians being dead, if not all of them. Beerus arrives and he's pissed. He doesn't even bother dealing with Moro. With a single Hakai, he erases the Planet Eater, and in order to take out his anger some more, he single-handedly wipes out all the Galactic Patrol prisoners. It's not really that hard. Beerus is utterly shocked, and he apologizes to his brother and Beerus, disappointed that he couldn't help enough. Whis reassures him that he couldn't have done anything anyways, because otherwise he would have broken the law of the angels. And Beerus himself is pretty disappointed too because he didn't help out earlier. They're gonna have to break the news to Earth. But not all is lost. Moro's been defeated, which is great, and Earth is safe and they still have Dragon Balls. Surely Whis and Beerus could just go there and revive all the Namekians, and once the Namekians are revived, they can go back to Namek and use those Dragon Balls to revive Goku and Vegeta. So it all kinda works out in the end, as well as marking a bit of a change in Beerus. He's gotten very lucky before with his universe, as he hasn't been doing his job that well, and it's a miracle that his universe is still around. He apologizes to Goku and Vegeta after all is said and done, and promises from now on he's going to be a much better god of destruction and actually help out his universe. He was so close to losing it all this time, and he doesn't really want it to happen again. He did luck out with being able to revive Goku and Vegeta, but this serves as a lesson to him to actually intervene and take action. So we end off the what if on a nice note. Moro is defeated relatively easily by Beerus, and it marks a nice little character change for him. Maybe now he'll actually be a good god for his universe, and with him doing his job, Universe 7 will definitely be improving. So it does kind of suck that not much changed, but when you think about it, there's not really much reason for it to. The biggest differences would be that there's no Super Saiyan 3, there's no Boo, and there would be no Fusion Dance. So the changes would be minor at first, but eventually towards the end of Super it might start to have some effect, as we've covered. I mean, when you think about it, the biggest change of this what if was that it was two sagas compressed into one, the Cell Saga and the Boo Saga. So the lasting effects wouldn't be too drastic. And that's where we'll end off. So what did you guys think about this scenario? Leave your thoughts and suggestions for new what ifs in the comments below. I'll be sure to check them out and see what you guys think and what you guys want to see in the future. As always, if you liked the video, be sure to drop a like. And if you haven't already, why not subscribe, as well as hitting the bell icon to get notified about future what ifs on my channel or any other videos that I make. Thank you all for watching, thank you for supporting this scenario, and I'll see you on my next video.